How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the Boslando Guild. I am your one and only favorite Indian host, Sahil, and today we're going to be comprehensively discussing the gameplay of SolChicks. But before you do that, I would recommend that you smash the life out of that like button, subscribe, you can always change your mind later, and share this video with your family and friends. So let's talk about the gameplay of SolChicks. So as they described in their game introduction, they've actually separated this from their white paper as the gameplay is a bit more tasking to a certain extent. As I mentioned in the introduction to SolChicks, this is pretty much similar to Axie Infinity with regards to the model of the game, but there are a bit more repercussions. Now, what are those repercussions? We will find out together later. So moving on, the concept. SolChicks is an online battle royale style game with a unique play to earn and pet elements at its core. Our ecosystem is strategically designed to be as interesting as Neopets, for all the oldies out there, but with greater detail and intricacy in our in-game designs. Players can participate in multiple ways, but most of the game will revolve around PvP battles, where players will pit their skills with other players of similar skill level. So as we talked about earlier, the multiple areas where you can earn their in-game currency. The model of gaming, you can earn rewards comprehensively through number one, earning soul coins, which is their in-game currency. You could use it pretty much in-game to power up your soul chick and earn better rewards through higher matchmaking. Yes, there is matchmaking, and participating in raids. This can also be used to purchase rare and powerful items from the marketplace, which is generated from the game, and reselling them for a profit. Earning in-game rewards which can be traded on real-world exchanges. Now, you may have heard me mention earlier, or in the previous video rather, Shards of Love. Shards of Love are what can be used in breeding your SolChicks. These can be achieved through keeping your pet happy, engaging them in more PvP or PvE battles, and you can use them to breed SolChicks, and you can even sell those SolChicks that you've bred. Tomes of Power and Tomes of Relearning, you can pick these up pretty much through battle and reselling them in the marketplace. As we mentioned in the previous video, there are certain currencies or items or crops or whatever extra assets that you can earn in-game, you can pretty much sell. And these Tomes of Power and Tomes of Relearning are just a fraction of the assets that you can actually sell on the marketplace. Spending SLC, Shards of Love, and chicks to breed new soul chicks and selling them. So yes, you would need also the governance token to breed a new soul chick, and earning chicks tokens through weekly leaderboard and MMR rankings. Now for the gameplay overview, let's just scrub through this really quickly. In the tutorial phase, you would start off as a level 1 soul chick. Now until you reach level 15, you can't necessarily engage in many activities besides looking after your soul chick. This stage is more of the getting to know your pet type phase. Like if you've actually owned the pet in reality, this is pretty much like the getting to know phase, but instead of actually learning the habits of your pet, you are getting used to the metaverse, how your soul chick acts, pretty much the rarities, etc., whatever is required, the demands or requirements for your soul chick to remain happy, its hunger, etc., whatever is needed to kind of streamline your activity on the metaverse. Now for level 16 to level 30, they regard it as the fledgling. This is an introduction to the PvP battle system and base skills of soul chicks. For levels 30 to 45, this is called the progression stage. At level 30, the soul chick will have obtained some sort of base skill. Players will be able to do all-out battles and earn MMR points, which will determine their P2E rewards. Now for the final level, which they refer to as endgame, this ranges from level 46 to 60. These levels are where the full soul chick's endgame content can be experienced. So the number one thing in the endgame, if you have a soul chick or two soul chicks as a matter of fact that are above level 45, you can breed them. Players who have spent hours at the progression phase will have learned all the 40 base soul chick skills and are ready for the next challenge. Players who have reached the endgame will be able to, amongst many options, min-max their characters through quests to unlock classes, mastery traits, and other unique rewards. Besides that, you can also breed your soul chicks, as I mentioned earlier, and participate in raids and tournaments. In order to not create a repetitive experience for the players, once the player has at least gone through the entire soul chick game cycle once, ergo reaching level 60, they will be able to power level a new soul chick alternative by spending Tomes of Power, which is something you can gain from battling in PvPs and raids, up to level 30 and skip into the progression phase directly. So this is pretty much like a get out of jail free pass if you want to skip through all the tutorial phases. SolChicks is an NFT-based game, and we encourage the trading and exchanging of SolChicks NFTs so that players will experience the breadth and depth that SolChicks offers. So what counts in SolChicks? Stats, skills, of course, progressions, weapons, items, gems. There are multiple forms of in-game currency, trait upgrades, NFT attributes, all that jazz pretty much have some sort of account in SolChicks. A highly customizable character system is one of their many features. SolChicks aims to be a game that will be easy to learn but difficult to master. In this regard, we have designed a highly customizable yet easy to understand character customization system, which caters to a variety of playstyles and is conducive to experimentation and metagame evolution. So primary stats, when you get a SolChick, what do your stats vary on? Stamina, strength, dexterity, and intelligence. So dexterity, how do we kind of dumb down this term? Dexterity basically refers to how agile your SolChicks is, the ability to dodge and weave attacks. Since this is a battle royale, this is pretty much every man for himself or every chicken for himself. Pretty funny animal to use. Chickens are very synonymous to cowards, but in this case, these chickens are ready for war. At level 1, each SolChick save state starts with a baseline of 6 stat points. So again, RNG gods for each primary stat, and will be further improved by the different attribute traits that the SolChick NFT attached to the save state has. To reset the allocated state points, so this is basically the baseline, players can use tomes of relearning, which are rewarded from PvP battles. Increasing the number of the tomes will be required for every successive stat point reset up to a cap. So this starts at 50 and will increase by 1.5x each the more times you reset the cap. For secondary, what do we focus on? Movement speed, focus, haste, crits for both your spells and physical damage, and resilience. You can even set classes for your chickens. At level 45, the player can embark on quests to unlock class abilities for their SolChick. We aim to design classes in such a way that encourages players to experiment and play with as many classes as possible. Now, for the final stage, I'm assuming this mastery aspect only caters to chicks that are already in the endgame. So level 45 to 60. Players who are looking for the ultimate min-maxing will find them in masteries. Each SolChick will have access to 4 unlockable traits, which can further add to the SolChick's power level. Okay, fair enough. For the battle system, SolChicks will introduce a holistic and balanced battle system with NFT elements, which aptly rewards players' efforts and skills. So the game mechanics. A game is made up of 3 battles, with each battle designed to typically last around 5 minutes, with a maximum timer of 30 minutes where a draw will be declared. So this is basically testing your chicken to the limit here, people. More details with regards to raids. The battle system with regards to PvP is pretty much similar, except you're fighting with your friends or whatever guild you're a part of. Gang, as the term that they use. These will only cater though to players who have already reached level 60 and will get an opportunity to fight a raid boss for some of their prized possessions. Skills. For the skills, SolChicks have access to an arsenal of skills at the player's disposal, which can be used in PvP combat to achieve a variety of objectives. Skills can be learned from various sources such as leveling, books, class, and other unique quests, or from upgrading the attribute of the actual NFT itself and equipping certain items. So there is some sort of rarity aspect to this game. Skills will then be classified by utility being offensive, defensive, technical, ultimate, and you will pretty much have a base damage or a mitigation effect, which are then calculated and compounded based on primary and secondary stats and other factors. Gameplay-wise, skills will be either active, which is something you cast on command, trigger, which is an effect triggered. So if you've ever played Dota and use these heroes that have both active and passive skills, this is pretty much the kind of gameplay you would expect, except this is a every man for himself type. For equipment, the primary purpose for equipment is to boost primary and secondary stats of SolChicks and promote more varied styles of play, with some equipment providing unique equip and on use effects. Okay, so this is pretty much just a more in-depth description of how the game actually works for those who haven't necessarily tried these types of games, but for those who have already delved into this genre of games, this is very, very straightforward. For the consumables, to add a more strategic element to PvP battles, players can equip and use consumables. Consumables being limited use items which have powerful effects upon use. So these types are potions, this is for health and your mana. Mana obviously to cast skills. Boosters for temporary power gain. Elixirs, this is just a general boost to the power level of your chick. Bombs for damage, of course. Utility items such as shields, teleports, cursing, etc. There are also other consumables that can be used outside combat which affect the SolChicks, such as books which could teach the SolChicks new skills. So if you're looking to get a more hands-on experience with your SolChicks outside of the PvP arena, get to know them a little bit more, so that you basically know where to focus on when looking after your SolChick, it's also available. So that pretty much, kind of ticks all notes or all check marks with regards to creating a immersive experience, which is a first pretty much for an NFT game. Cosmetics. It is very, very important to bring the aesthetic element to the game. The SolChicks art team is working tirelessly to bring high-quality art and animation to the players. Players will be able to find or purchase different skins for their equipment to modify the looks of their SolChicks to one of their liking. So again, these cosmetics aren't just necessarily something you can buy, they also have a rarity to the item, of course, which will be shown later. So this is pretty much the evolutionary stage of your SolChick. It just gets bigger and bigger, I presume. Pet gameplay. Of course, number one, as we spoke earlier, we need to feed our chicks. We need to keep our chickens satisfied. Why? They need to be kept ready for battle. So the lesser you pay attention, the lower the effectivity rate. So these are basically the parameters if your SolChick is bloated, well-fed, content, hungry, famished, or dying. These are basically the rates of its general effectivity in battle, the ability to breed later on, its general traits, and of course the amount of experience you will get the more attention you give your chick. Happiness, of course, is the most crucial metric of the game. Breeding. There are unexpressed traits also. Traits will vary on the clothing, the general look of your NFT. If it has hair, then the higher the rarity of the actual item. Recessive traits. So for example, this is pretty much the benchmark. For a mohawk hair, the rarity is currently listed at 7%. So if you have a SolChick that has mohawk hair, it doesn't necessarily mean once you breed it with another SolChick, the actual offspring would retain the mohawk hair. Game economy. Being a P2E game, it is critical for SolChicks to manage and plan the various intersecting economies in order to provide clear and powerful incentives for players, investors, and collectors alike. So as we mentioned in the previous video, there will only be 10,000 mints of this SolChicks NFT. The breeding mechanism will means that you need to wait till your actual chick is up to level 45, which you need 2 of in order to breed. And it doesn't necessarily mean that once you breed, the population of SolChicks will expand. There will be more features added to this once the game progresses. But for now, this is pretty much what we have only to go off of. So as you can see, these are the chances in statistics of how high these birds can spawn in. You have Legendary at 0.1, Mythical at 1.9, Rare at 13%, Uncommon at 25%, and Common at 60%. With regards to the game economy, we pretty much discussed what tokens are involved, being chicks, which is the governance tokens, the soul crystals, loot boxes, soul coins, and of course you have to also look after the hunger, happiness, the breeding aspect of the game, as well as the traits, because you only have up to 7 chances to breed these NFTs. SolChicks metaverses. For you have sources of income will come from soul coins, loot boxes, soul crystals, and other random finds that there are on the battlefield, and the more you traverse through the metaverse of SolChicks. These can be utilized where? These tomes and Shards of Love are used to breed. These tomes of relearning are used for resetting the cap rate on these RNGs that are generated for your SolChicks. And more crafting, upgrading, and unforging equipment will require soul points and materials. Marketplace. In addition to P2P sale, the marketplace will also be a place where the game will generate items for players to purchase, such as a money sink. With regards to the real world, not all currencies that you pick up can be used to trade, namely your loot boxes. You can't necessarily trade those. Soul crystals can be sold on the marketplace, but as the marketplace is not public yet, you have no utilization for it. And that brings us pretty much to the end of SolChicks gameplay. We appreciate you taking the time to give your undivided attention to us to kind of traverse through the metaverse as we go on this journey together. I hope you were able to gain some sort of insight into the complete yet incomplete gameplay of SolChicks. Once again, this has been Sahil from the Boss Lando Guild, and I will see you guys next time.